Well, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Ham Radio Basics Live, Season 4, Episode 14, Ham Radio News and Updates for 1/2026. It is April Fool's. How many of you guys, hey, Cooley, good to see you. How many of you have been fooled today? There were several pretty good ones out there, especially with Ham Radio. I saw several of them. So then some that made you chuckle because you knew right away it was not true. And I saw some good sports ones today as well. So always kind of keep you on your toes as far as that's concerned. So that's good. Want to welcome everybody watching over on X. If you can join the chat, if you would like, by clicking on the there's a pin post there that has the link for the YouTube, and you can go ahead and click on that if you want to definitely join us in the chat. Sergeant Rock, good to see you this afternoon. Hope you guys are doing well. I've been getting some tremendous response, great response from my top 10, top 5 lists that I've been doing. We're just going to kind of keep rolling with it right here. And what I wanted to do today was just not necessarily products, but I wanted to focus on, we all remember what it was like when we were brand new, when we just passed our technician exam and, we're wet behind the ears. We don't know left from right, up and down, all that kind of good stuff. Where to go, what to do. And I thought, let's take a look at the top 10 things that you should do after you get your technician license. So I'm going to go ahead and get this PowerPoint presentation going here. And let me show you guys. All right. Back it up here. Okay. Top 10 things to do after obtaining your technician license. Now, it's a whole lot today, versus when I got my license, originally got my license back in 2014. I mean, there's so much more out there today. There's so much more content that's out there today that wasn't available at that point in time, even, in 2014, which doesn't seem like that's 12 years ago, but it's really kind of jumped since then, in terms of YouTube and social media and just a whole other host of things that weren't available at that point in time. And, mentors and Elmers were always there, but, you're wet behind the ears. You don't really know Elmers because, you're not affiliated with a club. We're going to talk about that here in a second. So what do you do? How do you do this? And what I wanted to do today was to kind of help give some guidance to those of you who have just passed your technician license and you're wondering what to do. Now, I know Ham Radio Prep, James and Professor Jim and all of them over there, they really kind of help guide you along in what you should do, which I think is fantastic. That wasn't there when I had mine 14 years ago, and I was kind of left, to put pieces together on my own. So I went ahead today and did this, as hopefully this is a good guide to help everybody out along their journey here. Now, the first one is, and I'm sorry, the picture kind of got up on the title there. Get your call sign. I mean, before you can do anything at all, you got to have your call sign. If you don't have your call sign, you can only get on and listen. You can't transmit, but you can transmit once it appears out there. It usually takes about 1 to 10 days before it gets out on the database. So excuse me, be patient. It'll get out there. That's just one of those things. It takes time, and it's the federal government. And, a lot of times if it's over a weekend, it may take even a little more time to do it. I would expect it probably within 5 days or so. I think that's when I got mine. I think it was in 4 to 5 days. So just to kind of give you a time frame and a guideline as far as that's concerned. So be patient. It will get there. Okay. Now, and again, I apologize. The picture's covering up part of program local repeaters. And what you see the gentleman here doing is he's programming it manually. He's using the repeater book on 2 meters and 70 centimeters. On frequency, offset, and tone is what he's programming in there. But one of the things that I encourage you guys to do, I know most of the new radios today have not only Bluetooth, but they also have an app via your phone. And almost all the new HTs that I get are programmable via that app, via that phone, because it hones in on the area that you're in. It finds the repeaters out there. There's no real guesswork. But what I want to say is, if you're brand new to the hobby, what I would do for the first time around is go ahead and use Repeater Book. Now, there's Repeater Radio Reference online is probably a better way to go as far as this is concerned. And you focus on 2 and 70 centimeters, and you program your frequency, your offset, and your tone manually. Okay, when you use the app to import it, to say, I have several Radtels that do that. When you use the app to do that, everything is put in there automatically. Your frequency, your offset, your tone. It even gives you a channel number and the name, and it's fantastic. But at first, get used to doing it what I would call the manual way. And a lot of times, if it's with BAOFENG, you're using software called Chirp, or if it's with Yaesu, I forget the name of the software, but you can buy those. They're on discs, and you have to load them up to your PC. But I don't even think they do that anymore. I think they're available online. But you have to use the cable and be able to program it. But that's kind of going by the wayside. But I think, for now, I would definitely go ahead and get out there and do this yourself, because it gets you in good practice. Now, I would also take this a step further, and you could program some of them completely manually by following the instructions that came with your radio. This is semi sort of automatic. If you're doing it via cable, via your phone and your laptop, it should be pretty straightforward. But you can also do it manually, and I would highly encourage you guys to do that, because you may be in a situation you may need to get a repeater put in your phone, put in your HT, and you don't have your laptop and you don't have your phone with you. So just kind of like prepare for that is what I was trying to get across here. Now, highly recommend that you get a great starter HT. What's shown here, the Yaesu FT-65, which is absolutely fantastic. Obviously, I would highly recommend buying a programming cable, because a lot of these don't have apps or Bluetooth capabilities. And the other thing is, with all of this, get a spare battery. I mean, I would not hesitate to buy a spare battery and have that spare battery. And here's another point for you guys too, is to have that spare battery charging. Don't put that away in a bag somewhere. Have it out, have it charging, because that way that spare battery is always ready. Now, with me, I kind of have 2 spare batteries for each one, so I have a lot of chargers going on at the same time. So that's just a word of advice to you guys. And get out the manuals, especially with like the Yaesu radios. The manuals are pretty good. The BAOFENGs are getting better. Radtels, they're getting better at it. The English is getting better, so kind of be patient with them. But make sure that you give the instruction booklet a walkthrough. And if you have any questions, get out to YouTube, and that should be able to help you. But when you get that solid HT, like he has here on FT-65, which is easy to program manually, by the way, it really makes things very straightforward and very simple. So that's why when you get a good solid HT, this would be one of the ones that would be recommended here. Okay. Making your first contact. All right. And I apologize for the pictures. I don't know why it was fine over on my PowerPoint presentation on the other side, but okay. This is, CQ. This is Kilo Whiskey 4 Quebec Oscar monitoring. Just keep it real simple. You don't have to. the more you complicate it, the more it's going to be very frustrating. Okay. And what I have in parentheses under the picture, it says CQ, 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 this, your call sign monitoring. Okay. Just do that. And that's perfectly fine to get you on the air. And especially a lot of people will recognize that you're new, and they'll be very patient with you for the most part. There are some cranky old hams out there, but for the most part, most people will be very patient and welcoming and kind towards you. And you could tell them, I mean, on the air, I just passed and got my technician license, and this is my first time on the air. And I think 9 times out of 10, you're going to get a positive response back. So that's something that I would recommend here. Yeah, Jason, that's wonderful that you had a club like that. That would have been fantastic. Having a club like that back in high school. But and be friendly on the radio too. This is part of the hobby, and part of why I like it is, getting to talk to people and getting to know some other people, and especially if you get to nets, and we're going to talk about nets here in a second. You get to know some of these people, and they get to know you as well too. And you need to be friendly, because if you're friendly, chances are real good they're going to be friendly right back to you. And like I said, don't overcomplicate it. Keep it real simple and straightforward. It will go a long way. It will make a big difference in how your first time experience goes with getting a radio on there. But and also too, what I have to say is, make sure that before you know all the controls on your radio, know where the squelch is, the on off volume buttons, the push to talk buttons are. Know where everything is before you start actually getting out there and talking. Let's go ahead and move to the next slide here. Learn basic phonetics here. Okay. That's one of the things that I had taken some private pilot courses, so I knew the phonetics before I came into this. And that's one thing that has been drilled into me, is especially, put your ID out there every 10 minutes. This is Kilo Whiskey 4 Quebec Oscar. And then say whatever at my QTH in Florida. Okay. Just something like that. And then continue your conversation. When you end up ending one conversation and starting another one, pause, because you don't want to step on other people. Somebody else may want to get on that frequency, so you don't want to step over them. So, oh, James, welcome. Thanks for stopping by this afternoon. No problem. It's okay to pause. It's okay to have dead air for a few seconds out there. And like I said, somebody else may be wanting to talk to somebody on that frequency. So, be kind to them. And if they want to do that, just find another frequency to get on. There's plenty out there. So, and be patient with people. And if you don't understand something, and I think this is something I found out a lot of times, because I would have a poor signal, or they weren't speaking clearly for one reason or another. I couldn't hear them. It's okay to ask for them to repeat the information. That's perfectly fine to do that, and do so in a kind way. Like I said, kindness kills, and in a good way. And that's what you want to do, because you want to get a good response back. So, but again, use your phonetics, Kilo Whiskey 4 Quebec Oscar, when you have your call sign. That way it's crystal clear what your call sign is, and then get into your conversation. Okay. This is Join a Ham, a local club. It really lends itself to getting to really know people. This is the way that you will get to learn ham radio as well as possible, is through a local club. And a lot of times, I know one of our local clubs, they have breakfasts on Wednesday and Saturday. They have functions every week during the week. And it seems like, they have the regular meeting once a month. But then, they have field day in June coming up. and they have other events out there, and they hold some picnics and things like that. So, and it's a great way to get to know people, and it's a great way to ask questions, because that's what the wonderful part of all this it is about, is meeting some of these gentlemen and ladies who have been doing this for a while and getting your questions answered. I'm looking to, you Pastor General, I'm gonna get an HF rig. What do you suggest that I get? I don't have a lot of space for an antenna. I can probably do a vertical, probably not an end fed. What do you suggest? Ask them questions like that, and they will be more than happy to answer your questions. And especially that you're new, they can say, do you have any tips or tricks for me for this Yaesu FT-65? I mean, it looks to be a great radio. I've had some fun with it already. Any suggestions at all? 9 times out of 10, you're going to get some positive responses for that. And and it always is great to hook up with people, and especially, let's say you want to go ahead, you pass your technician, your general, and your extra, and you want to put a tower together. Well, maybe you might need some help. So you might be able to find an electrician in the group. You may be able to find someone who is a contractor in the group to be able to help you out. Because obviously, if you want to put, say like a 50-foot tower in, you need to anchor it down. You need to get it so many feet below the ground, pour cement, all that kind of good stuff. A lot of skills. I don't have a lot of those skills, so I would need to seek out somebody to do something like that. So, this is a great place to do that. And that's something, again, that I highly encourage you guys to be a part of a local club. And if you have to drive a little bit to do that, because it makes a difference in terms of your ham radio experience. Granted, you can learn an awful lot, and I learned an awful lot on YouTube from Jason, from Josh, from Smoke and Ape, from T.O., and other people out there. It's a wealth of information that I've learned from them. But on the other hand, nothing beats one-on-one contact and having somebody there locally to be able to, if you have a quick question, you can text them, that kind of thing. It makes a difference. Okay. Join a weekly net. Weekly nets are really fun, and it depends on the net that you're joining. Okay. Now, they're structured nets. What I mean by structured, they follow a pattern and kind of like a table of contents kind of a thing, or an agenda. And make sure that you have a copy of that agenda and that you're following that. And when they ask for participation, you're able to participate as well too. And it helps build confidence too. And most of them are very friendly, and a lot of them are in the evening to allow those of us that work to be able to go to something like that and participate. And it really makes a difference. It really helps. And I like that last bullet point. It says builds confidence. It really does. It really helps you, especially if you're new. You can get out there and talk to some people and get to know them. A lot of times, look for the nets that aren't really specific in terms of, there's some weather nets out there. There's some business and agenda nets out there for the ham radio club. Look for ones that maybe call, say, free talk or open talk or something like that, where you can talk about some things. And and those are the kind of places. Hey, I got a Yaesu FT-65. Anybody have any tips or tricks that they'd like to pass on to me? I really like it. Go along those lines. It really makes a difference to be able to get out there and do that, and they get to know you by your call sign. You just say, hey, I'm a member of XYZ Club. Oh, I am too. Okay, great. I'll meet you. I'm going to the next meeting. I'd like to meet you. Absolutely. Okay. These kind of things really help you, and they really make a difference in terms of your ham radio experience. Okay. Upgrade your antenna. And it's funny, it shows the NA771 as a product here. And I use ChatGPT to do the pictures for me. Everything I can tell you this: 99 times out of 100, the antenna that comes with your BAOFENG or your Radtel is really it's just a placeholder. It's not going to do a whole lot for you unless another person is like 5 feet away from you. you want to get a really good antenna. And you can start out with the NA771 Nagoya. They're out on Amazon. They're very plentiful out there. Signal Stick is another great option as well too. These are tried and true and proven and tested antennas. Definitely do that to upgrade. One of the other things that I would look for too would be a leather case that you can kind of has a clip on it. You can put on your pocket or on your belt. That makes a big difference. Kind of like your smartphone case, like I have. It really helps with that, and also too, it protects the radio as well too. So definitely, you want to think about that. Another thing is, if you're going out for a day and you know you're going to be on your radio a lot, you probably either want to bring A, your charger with you, or B, your spare battery, or both. That way, if you're going to be using your radio quite a bit that day, that way you have a battery backup, so you can go ahead and just plop the new one in and get the other one charging while you're on the radio. So just think of some things like that when you're going out. But no, you definitely want to upgrade your antenna from what the manufacturers give you. Don't throw the one out. I mean, in an absolute emergency use, it's good to use. But having something like a Nagoya or a Signal Stick or others like those will make a big difference. And they're not that expensive. $15, $20, $25 is what you'd be looking at there. Now, trying APRS, DMR, and Fusion, it lends itself, it opens up a lot of doors. And it's something that you're going to have to do a deep dive into and do some research. APRS is a lot of fun. I know a lot of people disdain it, but it really is a lot of fun once you get out there and once you figure out how to use it. And there are plenty of tutorials out on YouTube to do that. And the same for DMR and Fusion. But understand, your area may not have a Fusion repeater out there, which is Yaesu, or it may not have DMR in your area as well. So understand that there's some limits with that, and it does have a worldwide reach. I mean, you can talk to people really truly kind of across the world with that. So, but it does have a learning curve. It is something that's going to take some time. AnyTone makes a great digital radio as well too. So that's something that you would definitely want to go ahead and check out. Now here, it suggests that pretty much right away, you should probably try to study for your general ham radio exam. And it's something that I would agree. In fact, I know a lot of people that will go in and they'll take the general test, and surprisingly, they'll go ahead and pass. Now, it unlocks HF for you to be able to do that, which is fantastic. And getting out there and upgrading fast is really important. And I did that. I was very fast. Within 4 months, I upgraded mine to do that. Now, it's not so easy with the extra test. Okay. It does take a lot of practice to study for that exam. So when you're in the throes of that, understand that it's not the technician and it's not the general, it's the extra, and it's going to be more difficult. So I would definitely, and my word for that is practice, practice, practice. The general, is about on par with, I think, with the technician, but definitely with the extra, it's going to take a lot of practice, and you want to get out there and do your practice exams ad nauseum until you get real proficient with it. And what I did, I think it was eham.net. I'm not 100% sure, but they rotated the questions all the time. So you didn't memorize the answers. You knew the answer. And I think I went in, I think I missed 2 on mine. So I was very well prepared for that. All right. Talking about the best radios, you can see right here, the best budget HT, the best classic HT, best antenna upgrade, best digital fusion, Yaesu, best digital DMR, AnyTone is listed right here. And you can see the gentleman's having a field day at HRO, getting some brand new radios right there. But this is a fun hobby. And if you've just passed and gotten your technician license, a hearty congratulations from all of us. We wish you well on your journey. If you have any questions, please make sure you drop them in the comments or email them to me at hamradiobasics@gmail.com, and I will get back to you And if I don't know the answer, I will find the answer for you or get you to somebody who will have the answer. So want to thank everybody for tuning in. Cooley was here. James was here. Jason was here. Thank you guys so much. And Sergeant Rock, thank you guys so much for stopping by today. As always, guys, remember, it's a great day to make a QSO. 7 3s, everybody. Have a great rest of your day.